um, it's 7:17, and I guess at 8 o'clock, Ham and Ace will come on, and Richard Hoffman, not legal advice. I'm not feeling very well at all. Haven't been, but this last many days has been gout, which is different than just being sick. Um, um, I mean, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah, I know, Steve. There's something in my lungs. There's something in my brain. There's something. It's just the whole thing. There is no word. I've lost thousands being here in this chat. You will not see me here again. All right. Well, Keith Lathrop, I wish you the best. There's plenty of stocks out there to buy that are going to go up, I'm sure. But I've lost thousands of dollars myself, tens of thousands, more than that, actually, hundreds of thousands. And so I know exactly what you're talking about, Keith. There's apologists out there who used to work at the American Stock Exchange, and they apologize. They think it's okay. As long as they locate the shares after they sell them, that's okay. No, it's not. It's illegal. It's manipulation of the stock price. When shares are sold without locating first, it's a violation of securities laws. But Keith, I've said it so often. Gary Gensler doesn't care about it. The SEC doesn't care. In fact, I think the SEC is complicit in it. And people don't realize what you have is men mostly who just sell, and they feel it's their right to sell. And Keith, when there's good news, they sell. When there's bad news, they sell. When there's a year of work on an acquisition, they sell, and they just sell, and they just sell, and they just sell. It's all illegal. It's all illegal. But so, Keith, I would leave this chat, Keith. I'm sorry to see you go. Leave it. And I'm sorry not to see you again. But and I wish you good luck. I mean, there's ETFs out there. Dan Borders has stocks which always go up. Frank Benedetto's stocks always go up. Lou Bravo's stocks always go up. There's other people out there that can give you ideas where you can hop from one to the other, always winning every step of the way. I have no optimism, Keith, that we as investors can ever win in the United States stock market. Gary Gensler is a fraud. The SEC is captured. FINRA is a joke. And NASDAQ is just a bunch of smiling, sniveling faces like OTC markets. So there's no way to win. And so anyway, Keith, I've given you a lot of time. Thanks for ever being here. Sorry you lost money. You're not the only one. And good luck. There's plenty of really, Kathy Wood she always follows the crowd really nicely. You can follow her. There's plenty of people out there that always win, and you'll be able to make money with them, I'm sure. I didn't know XRP is corrupt. That's not good to hear. Um, um, so I want to tell you guys, I'll do it when I'm not feeling just shite, but I'll do a better effort of it. When uh, Aubrey SPAC did their deal, you remember I got upset online. I said it had a VWAP, it had a backward looking contract, it had a true up like Mrs. Pac-Man. They always gobble up everything, and it had a share price, I think, at $1.20. And then uh, they had all the protections of the entire company behind them. And I was assured that this group, oh, no, they're not like that. They're friends of. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made before. I was told who they were friends of. And I guess my information was wrong. That's my mistake. I didn't confirm it. It has apparently nothing to do with Peter Boards at all. He does not know these two hedge funds. These were friends of the so-called investment bankers um, uh, who organized the ASPA, the Aubrey SPAC. I call on those investment bankers now here to return their fees. You can keep half of it. Return $1 million. You got $2.5 million in investment banking fees for doing shit. Return $1 million. Return $1 million. Otherwise, I'll file a complaint. You have an obligation to the shareholders. You can't just treat shareholders as sheep to be shorn. You didn't do a good job. You did not earn your investment banking fee. And you introduced these counterfeiters, these criminals. Of course, there's people that used to work on the American Stock Exchange that say, no. They're just shorting. That's legitimate shorting. They sold 2 million shares that don't exist. And then NASDAQ halted trading. Then on Friday, they sold over 800,000 shares that don't exist. But that doesn't bother little Bill. Doesn't scare little Bill. Doesn't scare people that work on the American. No. They'll find those shares. Well, there's three problems with it. One, the so-called investment bankers who organized ASPA, their friends, the two hedge funds, may or may not have sold stock. I guarantee you they're going to lie and say they didn't. I think they're the ones that did sell the stock. No one, lawyers don't understand this because they don't want to. And by the way, I call on this call right here that the law firm that represented ASPA and Logic, who took $2.5 million cash out of the deal, you return half your fee, half of it, $1.25 million. You don't deserve it. You did a crap job. And you left the company in shambles. You, just because you went to law school, just because you got straight A's somewhere in your life, and just because you passed some exams, you know fuck all about putting together a company. And the number one thing you don't do is starve a company of cash. So I call on the investment bank to return half their fees. I call on the lawyers to return half their fees. And I ask them to do it within 14 days. And I'll pursue what I can pursue. May find out I can't do anything. But you should know, lawyers, you're worthless. Absolutely worthless. $2.5 million for what? For what? You didn't even protect the company. And then the ASPA guys they line them up, I'm sure. So number one, I think there's probably a kickback. That's just a judgment call. Number two, when you create stock out of thin air that doesn't exist, oh, no, they're going to locate it. It's normal. Okay. apologists from American Stock Exchange. But when you have a VWAP and you have stock and a true up, that sets those counterfeit criminals alight. They start selling. So they may have made on that 2 million shares they sold that one day, they may have made $45 million. That belongs to you. And the lawyers should be ashamed of themselves. The investment bankers should be the same. They should have to regurgitate their fees. It's malpractice by the lawyers, and it's illegal, in my judgment, both are, by all respect, so-called investment bankers, pretenders, smiling faces. So if there's 40 to 50 million they made just destroying the stock because they signed this dilutive backstopping note, you don't think ASPA got a kickback? You don't think the lawyers might have been working with the other pal lawyers to facilitate all of this? Nodding, looking the other way. I don't know. It's a lot of money. They make $45 million. Should have been your money. But they take it out in half a day. That's number one. Number two, the brokerage firms start trading the stock, which doesn't exist. Are the brokerage firms complicit? Not to the guy that used to work on the American Stock Exchange. No, it's all right. They can sell stock they don't locate, and as long as they're going to settle it later. I mean, these are big guys. They know what they're doing. Okay, we got that side out of the way. The other side out of the way is that the big brokerage firms and your firms are in bed with the criminals selling stock that doesn't exist. Then Friday, they sold 800,000 shares down from 25 down to under 4 or under 5, and you couldn't sell. I couldn't sell. Is that a level playing field, SEC? Of course not. But your cop asleep, Gary Gensler, doesn't care because it helps Goldman Sachs. And as long as the Democrats and Goldman Sachs control the Department of Treasury and the Federal Reserve, they can print trillions of dollars and stuff all these holes. And the banksters can get rich. And then people like the gentleman that just left losing money. I don't blame him, actually. The whole market is fraud. The entire market is fraud. But to the guy on the American Stock Exchange, no. You can't do it. Get the no-bo list. You can't sell short. It's hard. Well, what about these guys you just saw do it at CAUD? That stock, they don't even have the stock. They're going to locate it. Well, see, you have apologists. That lets it go away. You have so-called gentlemen, and they're all over the MMTLP community. And you're afraid to be rude to them because they're gentlemen. They're just evil crooks stealing. And they have no shame. Their only thing they're going to do is sell. Sell when they don't own it. Pretend they own it. Sell that they're going to have it. They know they're going to have this note eventually, this convertible toxic note, with one of the so-called investment bankers, friend of ASPA, just a front for the shorts. I really think what the SEC has to do, because they have no balls, and the women that work there are all useless too. They need to make it illegal for CEOs to sign notes with VWAP, tranches, true ups, below market, without naming who the investors are. Enforce the rules that you can't sell stock you haven't located. 6 months, 10 months, a year, but enforce it. Enforce it. They won't. It's how Goldman Sachs makes its money. You think these people, the big fat guy that puts all the woke agenda down your throat, Leon Cooperman, you think he knows how to make money on trillions of dollars without cheating? Do you think Michael Cohen knows how to make profits like they claim they make on trillions of dollars year in and year out without cheating? Do you think Ken Griffin knows how to make profits on trillions of dollars without cheating? I think you have to have a credibility checkup. All right, so the final point I want to make. This is wording I take responsibility for. I was asked to look at a press release which will come out tomorrow morning before the market starts trading. And in my words, about CAUD, I take responsibility for these words. I don't know how the final press release is going to look, but Brent's son is going to fight back. He's going to fight back. And thank you, ASPA. Again, before I read this, ASPA and the overpaid investment wankers, return half your fee. Lawyers that worked on this and took $2.5 million out of this financing, return half your fee. And then the so-called friends of this investment banking group, who at a minimum took 40 million, maybe 50 million out of the market, return all of that. You can keep 5 million profit. Return all of it. I will file. I know it doesn't sound like much of a threat, but I'll learn how to file, and I'll go down by myself. I'll handwrite the filing, and I'll call your dastardly malpractice, all in my opinion, legal firm into question. You don't deserve to be paid. You practiced malpractice. You stole the money from the shareholders, in my judgment. All right, this is no shares of CAUD have been distributed to any holders of record of the company entitled to receive the dividend distribution, which was described in the SEC filings. CAUD and Brent's son are aware that certain brokerage firms like Fidelity, but it was the lawyers who charged $2.5 million, and it was the so-called investment bankers, the overpaid wankers, who brought this poison in. They don't deserve their fees. In fact, they deserve to be sued. CAUD is aware that certain brokerage firms on November 3rd, either by gross negligence or willful misconduct, I'll take responsibility, credited certain clients' accounts with the dividend distribution of CAUD shares. And these same brokerage firms have allowed sales without having these shares in their possession. Or the ability to borrow them. They don't exist. You can't borrow them. There's 41,555 existing shares of CAUD. They can't borrow them. They did this to the detriment of shareholders at other brokerage firms like me, like the gentleman Keith, who's never going to be on the chat again. They did it to the detriment of other shareholders and the honest brokerage firms who are adhering to the SEC's policies, which the SEC doesn't enforce, procedures and prohibition against naked short selling. The company is going to investigate this egregious and malicious conduct by those brokerage firms. One of them I understand is Fidelity. And the company will pursue all of its legal options against them. No dividend distribution shares will be distributed to clients at brokerage firms who erroneously credited them until such time as the company has completed its investigation regarding those brokerage firms' conduct and their criminal clients' sales. Now, that some of you might have sold, you're not criminal. I'm talking about who sells 2 million shares that don't exist. You didn't do that. Who sells 800,000 shares don't exist. You didn't do that. To be clear, there will be no shares to settle any sales done at those brokerage firms for the foreseeable future. So screw you, shorts. Screw you. All right. I'll do a better job on all that when I feel better. I can barely use my hand. I can barely think clearly, as you guys have been able to tell over the last several days. Hey, Anil. Hello. Well, I think Keith's right. He shouldn't buy any of these stocks, and he shouldn't listen to me. And I'm sure there's plenty of places. I mean, he'll probably have the magic touch. Just read some research and follow Kathy Wood. She's always right. I'm not doing that great. I really am not. But I had a lot of I had a lot of fun watching the Joker over the last 3 or 4 days. Unbelievable. You guys don't realize what you're seeing. This guy's 36 years old. He moves, I mean, compared to the young men, he moves slowly, but he still keeps up with them. It's amazing. I mean, Holger Rune looks like he could pick up a Peterbilt truck by the front end. The guy is massive and strong. And Djokovic beat him in 3. He beat Rublev, who was masterful, absolutely masterful. And Djokovic beat him. And then today he beat Dimitrov. But he also, who I forget, there were 2 other players he had to get through, Echeverry and one other. Just incredible. It's just incredible. He'll be number 1 as we end the year, and he'll have completed 400 weeks at number 1, which is amazing considering they took 2,000 points away from him at Wimbledon. They didn't let him play the Australian. They haven't let him play the Sunshine doubles for at least 2 years, maybe 3. It's just incredible. Yeah, petting Lucky, but he doesn't sleep next to me for some reason. He's getting out of it. But he's been, what a great dog he has been. XLM. I don't know anything about it. Well, I don't know how long the GTI dividend, how long a process it is. 6 months of restriction. That ended on the 29th. I think tomorrow's the 6th. So, yeah, I guess a week. That's pretty long. Saudi and most Middle East have approved XRP. Well, we'll see if that works. I don't believe, Ralph Fahn, that the United States banking, London, Tokyo, New York, will allow oil to be priced in anything but dollars. And just remember that Muammar Gaddafi was pushing forward a plan to price oil in a pan-Arab currency. I think it was either gold or some basket. Look what happened to him. Look what they're doing to Russia. Look what they did to Iraq. That guy wanted to price things. Just sell it in euros. Look what they did to him. So I really don't think you're going to see XRP replace the dollar some magical way overnight. It's just not going to happen. It might if we lose a war, and we could lose a war. We're very top heavy. We don't have the weaponry to keep up with the Soviets. But there's no deep market, Ralph. There's the illusion of a deep market in the United States. There's no regulators of XRP. There's an illusion of regulators here. It ain't happening. It's a nice talk, but it ain't happening. BRICS are stronger now. Who's running the BRICS? The guy from India? Lulu? Putin? Iran? Oh, it's Xi. Okay, it's Xi. It's not any of those guys. I wouldn't count on it. I don't talk to Univest. Univest is slow, and they're not going to do anything to help us out, and they're not going to do anything to stick their head above anyone else. That's just not how you're raised in communist China. Do you think this week will be the final greatness week for Finger? No, I don't. I think our choice would be to set up a illegal counterfeiting short fund out of the UK or Germany. Get some lawyers that know how to do the paperwork, get somebody to back us like Mickey Cohen, and then start shorting stocks right under the SEC's nose. They don't care. Just sell stock that doesn't even exist. But because we'll be big, we'll have the market maker exemption, and we'll settle it up later. Then we have lawyers, and the only discipline we have to have is keep selling. Just keep selling. Just keep selling and selling and selling. And never fear. Just keep selling. Even when it runs to 9, we go hire a couple of guys to talk about a different stock, and we keep selling and selling. And I think we don't get rich. Gary Gensler doesn't care. He'll let us do it. If the SEC is watching us, they know they'll let us do it. Putin and China's Xi are running the BRICS to build out the Silk Road project. Yeah. The Silk and Road project, as you call it, is what China, and this is what I predicted 20 years ago. While we bomb deserts and assault mountains, and we have women who run for president trying to prove they're stronger than men, and we have Popinjay, sons of presidents, trying to prove that they're worthy of being president by just putting forth the new American century. We squandered trillions, not 1 or 2, probably $20 trillion, and it's not over yet in the deserts and mountains. And then Biden came in and walked away from the airports we built, left billions of brand new equipment behind, left Americans behind. But it's okay. He doesn't tweet. And he is the single most popular president in the history of the United States. So I feel good about that. He came in, he said Trump would start wars, and Biden hasn't started any wars. He just got dealt the hand Trump gave him. I mean, Biden had to deal with Afghanistan, had to deal with Ukraine, has to deal with a war breaking out in the Middle East. It's all Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault. But CB, I stand by. I stand by it. the United States will go to war before they allow Putin and Xi to build the alternative to the United States dollar. It's just my opinion. If the U.S. adopts the XRP, I don't think they will, because they want to control wokeism. For some reason, we feel it's important for women who visit Saudi Arabia to be able to wear their hair long and blonde and in flaunting of local rules. And we want to enforce our Western values. Tell me where in the last 50 or 60 years of modern feminism, this extreme modern feminism, tell me where anyone's happy. Tell me where it's working, this big experiment. But yet we want to put it on everybody else. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But no, we won't adopt the XRP. What I'm talking about is without a fight. If we lose the fight, we'll capitulate just like you say. But we're not going to go down like the British Empire. We're not going to walk away. I'm not feeling well at all. I'm not feeling well at all. And I've got a detached retina. I have to go to the doctor tomorrow morning. Didn't Univest get or add another I have no idea. I don't think Univest matters. They're a big bank, but they're going to move slowly. They move with the speed of barely heated magma. Selling could CAUD tomorrow. I wouldn't sell CAUD or Logic until they go up. But I'm not telling you not to sell CAUD. You can only sell a third of it. But I don't know, Crossbones. I just read to you what I expect to be a press release, the facsimile of a press release tomorrow. I don't know what you misunderstood. There could be a short squeeze in CAUD. I'm not saying it's going to go to the bloody moon, but every share that Fidelity sold or allowed you to sell is going to have to be bought back. But go ahead and sell. I'm not telling you what to do. Longer term, CAUD is going to be under attack from the criminal counterfeiters. They have several deals to roll into it, but I expect that once they've now gotten the ASPA, who was derelict in their duty, and the lawyers that represented it, who I think defrauded the company and shareholders, and I think should be sued over it, you now have 150 million shares outstanding. That'll go to 250 million. So it's going to be a long way up for CAUD. But go ahead and sell tomorrow. I can't call the future. Maybe tomorrow's the highest it'll ever be. Logic, I think you should wait until they announce their reverse merger candidate. Now, that could be next year or it could be next week. I don't know. Originally, I was told it would be done simultaneously with the whole setup. Or de-SPACing. It didn't happen, so I can't explain that. But that deal should be worth 40 cents a share to you. I used to say 70 cents, but again, the absolute defrauders who pretend to be investment bankers at ASPA, they defrauded you, in my judgment. Everything I say is in my judgment. It was not Peter Bordas, and I personally do not blame Brent at all. I think Brent is fighting his ass off against these criminals. All right. Let me see if I can find how to join that. Let me see if I can find how to join that. Let me see. Uh, Fuck me, the fucking tears. Mm. Mm. Okay, let's see if I can find. Let me see if I can find not legal, not legal advice. No. All right. Well, Richard Hoffman. All right, here. I click this, I think. I don't know, guys. It might unclick this other one I'm on with you. I don't know. Okay, this is okay, so I entered the studio as a guest. Settings, audio. Yeah, it's okay. So I'm in there as a guest. Only the host can see me. So everybody, you might have to go over to um, Richard Hoffman because it looks like I'm just a guest. Do I have COVID? I don't think I have COVID. I don't think I have COVID. I have gout, which is completely different, and I know exactly what it is. All right, so I think I have to go over to a new studio, which seems unfair. Settings. All right, I'm not going to do that. Well, I can't do much about it. I'll stream this to here. I think I can stream this to you guys. I'll just write ham and ace and jokes. But I think this will go to you guys. All right. Guys, I'll leave this open, but it's another window that I've also opened. So I don't know. Thank you, boys. I'm not going to end this one just in case. No. All right, I'm gonna just keep talking. They haven't invited me in, so we're gonna press. I don't blame Brent, and I think Brent's gonna press. I think the lawyers and the investment bankers need to. All right, let's go over. Hello, can you hear me? Can you? Yeah, I feel like shite, but I appreciate the comment. Yeah, he's the flapper, isn't he? Poker. I just met her. Old jokes, old bad jokes. Yeah, I didn't stop my stream. I figured there was a way to join you in my stream, but I I couldn't figure it out. So that one's open and this one's open. It'll be all right. People will know to come over here. They'll see it. It's extremely complicated for me. We have time for a joke. That's for sure. Do we have to move on? Those were so good. I don't. I mean, everybody knows me. I don't think I add much by giving. And I was born a poor black child. Um, I, I'm, I would be the ball, maybe. I'd be kicked from one end to the other. I don't know what. Hmm. Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing. I think he's been. Um, I saw him play in Miami before anyone knew his name, and he was playing Nadal. We were sitting out in the heat, and the guy to me was the best returner of serve I've ever seen, including Jimmy Connors. And that summer, I went to Dubai for a while with my friend, and we went to what was the British pub to watch Wimbledon. And I told my friend, watch out for Novak Djokovic. He had never heard of him, but he always remembers. So I think it was because I saw him early on. But what I love about him now, he he's the modern Muhammad Ali. I won't get into his decision, but he stood by his views. They took a couple, three of his best years away from him, and he's still winning, and he's still winning, and he's a good man too. Today, when he won, Dimitrov was sitting over on the sideline crying, and Djokovic. They're interviewing Djokovic. Djokovic just said, "Excuse me," and went over and hugged Dimitrov. And then later, he sat with all the children that play that do the ball boys, and he always has time for signatures. He helps the younger tennis players because they don't make money. He helps all of them. So I think he's a really good man, and and I love every time he makes a new record. He lost. He also, not legal advice. It broke my heart hearing your mother's story from you, but Novak Djokovic's world was destroyed by war. He had no childhood, and 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 my dad served there, and my dad came back one time. I mean, dad was the highest up for United States, and he said, Bill, I go to these prisons or these outdoor, and they have the Muslims behind the gates, or they have the Bosniaks, and these young men and women, they've had no childhood, and and that's another thing about it. I know. This the story you told that just broke it. It really broke my heart, and I just felt is that she walked out of Auschwitz alone. Everyone's dead, and she's walking out of there as a teenager. I can't imagine anyone in our entire ken that could experience such suffering. It now I'm saying I sound so bland, but when you first said it, I I nearly lost it. It's a horrible thing. But she had. How does your father say his name? Ham or Chaim? Chaim. 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 Oh, a little dig, a little dig. It helps Goldman Sachs so they don't They don't fight it. Anyway, that's my opinion. Well, you've got a cop asleep at the SEC, not a cop on the beat. He's a cop asleep. Uh, he said when I was there in Congress, sitting behind him, he said to Sourpuss Maxine Waters or one of the questioners, he said, "We'll do what the courts tell us to do." And this people erupted. Wait a minute, you're the head of the agency. Well, we'll do what the courts tell us to do. And he tried to start the whole thing by saying everything I say is my own opinion. I'm not here speaking for the SEC. The guy is a weasel. Are we allowed to write amicus curiae briefs? But I don't know anything, right? That's the argument. Okay. Okay. When is it? On the 29th? What I live for. All right, I'll go the 29th. All right. What what was the injunction? 36,000 violations in a year is not enough. Ace or hand. Unless you have to ask your wife. They're just protecting us, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, you used to, I'll let him answer, but you used to have an uptick rule and you used to have to fight the long. I mean, there was research, there were trading desks, there was compliance, and you had to deliver. And so you didn't get these endless, you could cheat a little bit, and there was some, but you didn't get these endless movement. What they do is sell stock that doesn't exist, and then they leave that alone and move it around. They sell more that doesn't exist, and they sell more. And the apologists say, oh, check the NOBO list. Oh, they have systems in place. But nobody can beat hundreds of millions of shares being sold in any stock, particularly when there's no natural buying against it. The Merrill Lynch rule wipes out all buying. There's no buying. Anyway, I'll shut up, AMU. Yeah, yeah. Why don't the markets close for more than 3 days at a time? Well, the other thing they've taken away is knowing your customer. They do these toxic financings, and you don't even know who the buyer is. The basic laws, the basic rules of working on Wall Street, you had to know your customer, you had to disclose your customer. You don't do it anymore. Exactly. Was it Iceland? That's the number one question. Who would support this? There's no taxes being paid. It destroys jobs. It destroys tax revenue outside of income just from employees. It destroys our national security, destroys technologies that we invent, go to China. Who the hell would be on the side of all this? It's so much money, and people can't understand that it's trillions and trillions of dollars, and it goes to the elite people at the top who manage trillions. They can't get the returns without cheating, and they're not American. The Goldman Sachs, Citadel, SAC, all at virtue, they're not American. They're citizens of the world, and they're just cheating as long as they. That's my opinion. It never affected her decision making. You don't think so? They don't get a phone call, "Hey, you want your daughter to go to Harvard? We need you to go along with it." It's corruption on a massive scale, and I will speculate it starts with the $10 billion raised for Haiti that went nowhere except into government corruption. It didn't go into Haiti. Of course you are. The article with the toad on the front. One bourse, 1 year, $27 trillion sold of North American equities that don't exist, no taxes paid. 27 trillion out of one exchange, 1 year. 27 trillion. And it goes to Ken Griffin. It goes to Goldman Sachs. It goes to Stevie Cohen so he can buy a baseball team, and everyone loves we need Elliot Ness, and they don't exist. I stood in front of the SEC before I met any of you except for him, and I talked into my camera, and I told Gensler he could go down in infamy, he could go down as a hero, or just forgotten. And I think it'll either be infamy if the market crashes, or he'll just be forgotten. But he could have been a hero. No one remembers all of the FBI agents. You can't name one other than Hoover and Elliot Ness, because Elliot Ness was honest. But he was New York PD and what? Well, the system, I think most people on Wall Street are honest. I'd go really high. I work from Wall Street. Well, you worked on the trading desks. I've always been naive, but I I don't think I think the systems in place hide what is going on. And then the fact that the SEC is captured, and Gary Gensler's not there to protect you, not legal advice. He's there to protect Goldman Sachs, and I think he wants to be Secretary of the Treasury. He's an upward climber, and FINRA's there to enrich themselves. This all comes. I hate to say, as a lifelong Democrat, Bill Clinton passed this concept that Wall Street could regulate itself and would regulate itself, which is just a bunch of horseshit. I like that, Ham. Uh, that's a better joke than anyway. Um, full disclosure. I think they should just disclose it. Absolutely. Their greed knows no end because, like you pointed out, not legal advice. When you're dealing in trillions, you don't need much of a percentage to grift and become really wealthy. Ninety-eight and a half percent of the lawyers ruin it for 1.5% of you. Ooh, no, it's fine. By the way, the rules are there, aren't they, Ham? You could just do one or two or three things and it's over. Like locate, settle, uptick, name your customer. And not legal advice. How about in court when you have a bankruptcy and a whole class of security ceases to exist, that it has to be 1099? Savvy. Yes. Sounds like the same joke. Say that again. Webcast. Webbing. He's from Austria. They're never done now, though. They just keep selling. Very finger motion. Why don't you tell us about it? And why going to going to Richard's question? Why do we support this as a society? Why are we standing silent, including Gary Gensler? He doesn't look at TikTok. just think you're waiting when the Buddhas at Univest actually show their intention, it'll move. They're not doing it for us. Yes. If you imagine, if you just make the stock market Mrs. O'Leary's 1,000 shares of Exxon, that's the entire market. They've lent that 1,000 shares out, rehypothecated, shorted it, stuffed it in everyone's IRA account. And you and me, we look, hey, it's black and white. I can sell. I got my cash. I'm rich. But eventually, that's an upside down pyramid, and there's too many claims on Mrs. O'Leary's 1,000 shares, and it won't be sustainable. Right now, for several years, to helicopter bend and onward, they've been flooding the markets with trillions of dollars, and now we're going to war. It'll be more trillions of dollars. That's enough to bail out the banksters. That $1 trillion saves everybody, but that's coming to an end. So yeah, I think it can end in a heartbeat. And I think it'll be the bond market first because they're doing the same shit in the bond market. Don't think it's just GTII or bigger. It's gold, silver, houses, bonds. They've turned everything into a high frequency commodity trade. And why the F do you need high frequency trading in stocks that have a $5 million market cap? I mean, what the hell? That sounds like the same old pattern. I think the thing you have to focus on with finger motion is on September 11th. They filed the S1 or S2 or S3 or S4, whatever S that named Univest. But I think Univest moves with the slow motion of the Chinese Communist Party, and it'll just take time. But when it happens, good Lord, you better be in it because it'll be over. 300 million with a $25 million sub allocation. Well, if you're that least, then you just sell the stock in the back market and cry to the CEO that it's not you. Yeah. Oh, Mike Dion, yeah. And that's Canberra as well said that. Well, the algorithms start trading around the headlines. Not legal advice. They will take down a bank in 2 hours, maybe even Goldman Sachs when they turn on each other, and they'll use the same tricks. No one's safe. There's a lot of questions going on Finger and raising money at these prices and all that. I think you just have to ask yourself, why did they go as high as 300 million? To me, there can only be two or three things. One, they're going to do a joint venture with someone. And in China, that essentially means the Chinese government. Two, they're going to acquire somebody, or maybe they get acquired. But what if the announcement is that Pacific Re is going to put in uh, $30 million, and then Univest is going to have uh, China CNOC, the oil company, put in 100 million. I'm trying to make it up, but that's what's coming. They're working in the background. They didn't announce 300 million because there's nothing big coming. Right. The humanity. and the 17th, and nowhere they eat Thanksgiving dinner. Um, you'll never get the numbers. That'll be my prediction. Oh, that's pretty powerful for you to say. That's great. You don't think it's going to be 2 days of trading? That's a disaster. The shorts want 2 days of trading. No, no risk. There isn't anything there. MMTLP isn't anything. If it's 2 days of trading, the shorts got a lot of result for the money they've spent on Twitter interferers. But anyway, let's just see what happens. There have been CEOs that have made deals with the shorts, but it won't be finger. It won't be finger. It will not be finger. Thank you, Ham. So all those colleges that you were talking about, that was all football? All right. Not, I mean, you do a great job. You guys are always classy, not legal advice, and ace, always flappable, unflappable, whatever it means. I've never learned what flappable means, but he's unflappable. But he But the only thing I think people should keep in mind for the end of the year is there's going to be tax loss selling. So you know, anyway, we don't have to talk about it now, but we'll can talk about ways to make money for that. Lock in losses. For example, when you get a settlement with MMTLP, it doesn't all have to be taxable, but it's also just to move. Don't stand like a statue, like Ham always says. Try to make some adjustments to your portfolio. I think there's going to be huge opportunities to buy 6 or 7 or 8 of these companies in the last 2 weeks of December. And you might have a trade for the January effect. So anyway, I think there's good things ahead. And but unfortunately, I see selling for tax reasons over the next 6 weeks or so. They need to invent a system for us for not legal advice when he's on, where we can block the jokes, like you block the joke. Thank you very much, Richard. Fridays, Richard. Thanks to everybody else. All right, bye. I guess you end it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Same to you. Good night. All right. I don't know if we're still here. Oh, you didn't hear anything the whole time? Oh, is that because it went over to the other stream? Oh gosh. It shows my microphone working. Maybe that's Suljo. Maybe that's because it went over to the other stream. So I'm gonna I don't know that I'm gonna stay very much longer. I don't feel well. I've got to get up for a retina. I have a detached retina, and I'm gonna just try to sleep a little bit. I think my audio is fine. I think what happened is it moved, the mic moved over to not legal advice's stream. So I must have had two streams going. Anyway, I wish I knew how to have invited him in here, but I don't know. It's beyond me. Thoughts on November 17th? I don't think anything's happening by November 17th. But Ham says something will happen, he thinks. So I would listen to Ham more than me on Finger. if someone close to finger has some information, they're not calling me, they're calling him. And if it's big and if it's confidential, Dan Borders will put it out over Twitter, so you'll know about it. All right, so Lucky is sleeping. I'll try to go 6 more minutes, but I don't see any real questions. So I think I might just go. Yeah, he did say before the 17th, and he was really positive on it. He also mentioned something else. He mentioned, I can't remember right now. Oh, special dividend. So I would take that seriously. I would guess that Finger Motion is going to issue a special dividend. It'll have zero RTUC. It'll have zero effect in the U.S. market. Zero. What I'd love to see if companies would delist in the States and go to Korea, but I don't think it'll have, unfortunately, I just don't think it'll have any impact at all. The media is controlled by BlackRock, genius Bill Clinton, who strengthened Ronald Reagan's awful start at combining radio, TV, print, and then Bill Clinton, the most Republican president we ever had, it just accelerated it. And now there's 6 or 7 news outlets. They're all controlled by BlackRock. I don't think you'll see any change at all, unfortunately. As long as there's no short squeeze, they can continue to steal. And that's just the shame of it. I'd love it, though. I would love companies to start listing in South Korea. I'd love to set up a fund or an exchange here that only allowed physical transactions. You might only be able to have 5 or 20 companies trade, but I think it'd be brilliant. I think it'd be brilliant. They couldn't short a thing. Oh God, are the shills going to come on? There's Lynn lawyers aren't talking to Finger. What are you talking about, Marlon Mundo? Wes Christian was hired by Finger to force the Lynn Partners, Jeff Easton, it's not me, I'm not doing it. Jeff Easton didn't want to take payoff for the note in full plus penalties. And so at that time, Finger sued. They got it done. Jeff Easton's a bad guy. Bad guy. But I don't think the Lynn lawyers are talking to Finger. But maybe you know something I don't know. I mean, maybe Lynn lawyers are calling Finger and saying, bail us out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. How long will it take to have a special dividend? Long time. And they might reject it, but it could be a long time. What do you think happened December 17th? DOJ grab short? No, I don't think GTII or Finger are going to squeeze this year. Now, they might, but I just don't want to get my hopes up anymore. So yeah, I think you have to allocate your portfolio that you're willing to wait. There's going to be selling all day long in GTII until the end of the year, and same with Finger. What could change it? It's the same stories, Farrell. Do I have to go through it? It's the exact same stories. What could change it is Univest announced that they've merged Finger into as a subdivision of China National Oil Company, or they're joint venturing with China National Oil Company, and there's $500 million going into Finger. I don't know. I'm making it up. Something like that. GTII could squeeze if Finger squeezes. but don't count on it happening in November or December. Could a special dividend and finger cause a squeeze? Yes, but it didn't cause the warrant as a special dividend was causing a squeeze in GTII a year ago. 3 men came to you and said, hey, come into COSM, 2,000% short. They're changing their name. They're changing their QSIP. It's going to run. And they're going on upstream. Well, COSM did a deal with the shorts, took 35 million out of the market from the shorts and from you. And meanwhile, the special dividend didn't work in the end. And this will be another attempt to use a special dividend. What is the purpose of a special dividend? To get the system to settle trades. Gary Gensler does not care about trade settlement. It is on the bottom of his list of concerns. And so it's an attempt to cause trade settlement. And if the brokerage firms join in fraud, well, then Wes is there to accuse them of fraud. But I don't think it'll cause a squeeze in finger this year. Top took 1 year after the S3. I didn't know that, Farrell. That's interesting. 1 year. Well, we have a ways to wait, but it does confirm that the Chinese move very slowly. There's nobody in China that sticks their head up above the rest. That's how you get shot. So you just do everything as a group. And if it takes time, it takes time. Bull Pony says before winter. Well, I don't totally agree with Bull Pony. He's had some accuracy in the past. I think there is enormous risk in the markets right now. Enormous. The bond market, first of all. But I think the reason there is a Middle Eastern war breaking out is because the central banks got the most out of Congress they could for the Ukraine. And now they need another place to spend upward of $5 or $10 trillion, maybe more. It's all about saving the banksters. And I think the banksters will save themselves. I don't buy that we're going to have this huge correction by the end of the year. Remember, Joe Biden was the most popular president ever in the history of the United States. And we, as Democrats, want him reelected. He has been and will continue to be a breath of fresh air on all issues, from science to climate change, to jobs, to racism, to misogyny, to peace. The guy is just a gift. Somehow we were lucky enough to get. Well, Democrats believe if we have war and we prime the pump and keep the stock market up and the bond market up, we'll get Joe Biden again. And like I say, he's been a total blessing for the United States of America. So I really don't think they're going to let the market collapse. Now that fights all of the doom and gloom out there that I've said before is coming. But to me, and I'm making a contrary call based on almost nothing, except that everybody is calling. By the time I read it here on these points that we're going to have a collapse, it's not happening right now. It'll happen eventually, but I don't think it's happening right now. And the United States of America, until we lose an aircraft carrier to the hypersonic missiles that Russia has, The world thinks we have the strongest military in the world, and we will go to war to maintain the supremacy of U.S. markets, the U.S. dollar, oil priced in dollars, banksters' right to control everything. And as a Democrat, I'm just going to keep voting for Joe Biden because he's not racist, he's not misogynistic, he's sharp as a whip. I mean, that guy, man, is he smart. He works hard too. That's one of the things I love about Joe Biden, just how hard he works. And I thought it was brilliant when he went to Buckingham Palace and farted in front of the Queen. I thought that was amazing. What a display of American power. I have no, Farrell, what does that question mean? You don't have the time to type it carefully? Do you option in finger lesson learned or stock? I remember you said lost a lot last 3 months in a row. Well, I don't think it's my job to tell you everything that I've done, but I can't make sense out of that question. I have a small option position in finger. I expect it to expire worthless. I lost a lot of money in options in finger, not so much last month, although I lost money on it, but I had traded a little bit. So I really don't know. But it was the previous month. Specifically, him was pressing me to go out on the truck. And so I sat there, phones calling, ringing, where are you? Where are you? On that Friday, I sat out there. I did 4.5 hours interview. And then I took those guys to lunch. So I was not in front of my computer. I lost a shitload of money because I was out doing that effing interview that I'll end up on the cutting room floor anyway. But the shorts destroyed, manipulated the price of finger, and Gary Gensler does not care about outright stock manipulation by Goldman Sachs clients that drive stock down by selling non-existent shares. Oh, you got to get over that. They're going to find the shares. No, it's not what the rule says. The rule says you have to locate the shares before you sell. Who are the power brokers behind the scenes in the Biden administration? It's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. He's the man. He is the man. I personally think there's a battle in the background between Jill Biden and Michelle Obama. But I don't know who's the woman in that relationship, Barack or Michelle. And I don't care. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. But whoever's the woman in that relationship is fighting Jill Biden, I think. To me, they're going to pull Joe Biden across the finish line, and then they're going to install Hillary Clinton. And I think that the Democratic Party long ago divorced itself from Jimmy Carter, the last great president, the Democratic president, in my judgment. And they've been addicted to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, who I think Bill Clinton will go down in history as a worse president than Ronald Reagan. And that's where I see it. I think Hillary Clinton will be the next president of the United States. Jill is the only woman. Well, Woody. I mean, okay, fine. Barack Obama is a man. Michelle Obama is a woman. But who has the power role in that relationship? I don't know. And I guess you do. But whoever is the one fighting for money and power and corruption from the Obama side is fighting Jill Biden. Jill Biden. And then on the Clinton side, they're fighting Hillary Clinton. And unfortunately, the Kennedys are gone, the Carters are gone, and the only sad possibility of is another corrupt family, the Pelosi family. We could bring in Newsom, or we can bring in Buttigieg, and totally untalented. And then you've got Kamala Harris. Her white husband might be fighting on her behalf or not, but I don't think she has a prayer in hell of being elected to anything. She got her first job because she carried on an affair with a married man during her hot period of her looks, and then she has the gall to act like her life has been so difficult because of her color and her femininity. She's a complete fraud. Exactly. Newsom is a Pelosi. Trump won't be back as president, in my opinion. You're getting more Logic shares in 11 months. Thank you for stopping by, Babcock family. I assume you're talking about that you're going to buy more in 11 months, because I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Otherwise, Logic probably won't be called Logic. But Babcock family, I would not sell Logic, the shell, which is now trading at 8 cents, until they announce the reverse merger candidate. Could they do that this week or in January? I don't know. If it takes until January, you have to make a decision about your tax loss, handling your tax loss situation. But I would sell Logic as soon as that stock goes up. Now, that reverse merger, I estimated, would be worth 50, 60, 70 cents a share. That's when they had 105 million shares outstanding. It's now 147 million. It's probably going to go higher, but that's the number we have to work with now. So I think it's 40 cents that reverse merger is going to be worth. So do you sell at 8, or do you wait till they announce the reverse merger at 40 cents and try to get out somewhere in between? It's up to you, Babcock family. I'm happy if you sell tomorrow and just get out. On CAUD, I believe there will be a press release out before the market opens. I read it to you earlier. My wording, my massaging of what I think it might say. I'm responsible for what I read. It could say that or say something different. But I wouldn't sell CAUD until the firms that allowed sales have to buy them back in. That looks like what Brent Sun is going to try to organize. There were companies that allowed 2 million shares of ASPA to trade when it doesn't exist. There's only 40 million. But according to the guy that I know from the American Stock Exchange, that's normal. That's normal. They'll find it. They'll locate it. Well, he's gullible. I'm not. I believe that was the 2 hedge funds that the so-called bankers at ASPA brought in, the investment advisors. I reiterate, those financial types should give back half of their fee, and the lawyers that worked on it should give back half their fee within 2 weeks. No, they won't let Trump win. You're going to get Hillary Clinton. Are we ripping this week? No, I don't think finger rips this week. Do you have any more to add about finger after what Richard said? Well, God bless it. Sorry. Wow. If you're talking about Alpine, it sounds like that's going to stretch out forever. And look, John, the only thing that's going to make finger go up is if Univest decides to raise $500,000 and take one of their portfolio companies and merge it with Finger. And then overnight, Finger's worth $1 billion. That'll put some pressure on the shorts. But otherwise, I don't overly hype yourselves. It could happen any day. But just get on about life. Just get on about life. I don't expect anything to happen this week. What was I right about? Yeah, it's disappointing. I spoke to somebody over the weekend. They say that my arithmetic is wrong, but I agree with your arithmetic, 1 to 37. They said, oh, no, it was less than that. Well, it's right there in the release. This is absolutely the theft from shareholders by the so-called investment bankers and by ASPA. That team at ASPA and their advisors should all be sued for malpractice. And they should return their investment banking fees, and the lawyers should return their legal fees. They set it up so the shorts, they're buddies, I'm sure, the shorts could start selling the stock. And to Gary Gensler's fair and level trading market, why the hell did they get to sell 2 million shares last week and 850,000 on Friday, and we don't even have the stock, Gary Gensler, or whoever on the SEC's watching? By the way, when you go home tonight, SEC, ask yourself, do you think Gary Gensler is honest? Oh, yeah, he's honest. Oh, MMTLP was what you're talking about? I see what you mean. Look, if the settlement with Congress is 2 days of trading, Drew Diligence and his team worked miracles on behalf of the short sellers. It will disappoint you, John Wydell. If the settlement is 2 days of trading, you'll lose everything and you'll have no recourse. And I bet Drew and his crew got paid off pretty well. That's an opinion. I have no idea. But there's so much money involved here that just a 1 or 2 or 5% payoff will make a lot of billionaires. If there's going to be a settlement offer of cash, there will be absolutely no discovery, which is why Drew and his crew fight so hard and just cause so much drama on Spaces, because they've got to prevent discovery. They've got to prevent the blue sheets coming public. And they won't come public. So it's a perfect time for settlement. My guess is, as we come close to the end of the year, you would see a number higher than $10, but probably a lot lower than the $1,000 I think it should be. And most people will take it. That's because most people, I just want my money. and they know that. So, um, and I guess finally, John Waddell, I would say that for not legal advice to make a statement as strongly as he did would indicate to me that there probably is a settlement coming. I just hope to God it's not 2 days trading. Let me see what this guy says. Just a heads up, I suspect some of the long speaking of losses are not what they say they are. I don't know. I don't know. It's not my option. You mean opinion. You do not want 2 days trading because what'll happen, the stock won't go up. And after 2 days, Congress will say, hey, we gave it to you. And that's why those guys are driving it so hard, because it'll help the shorts. Thank you, Marcella Mena. It looks like a Cuban. Nothing like a good cigar after a meal. I don't really have anything to add other than for Richard to say it, I would believe it. Secondly, they get to write off their losses if they get it done by the end of the year. And thirdly, the lawyers, there's probably 200 or 300 attorneys working on this. They've had plenty of time to hide the bodies and get something done. I think if it gets done by the end of the year, it's going to be a low number. And I think most of you will take it. Woody, you don't have to me. I mean, but they're not going to let Trump back in. All right. So, all right. I've got to take some medicine. Well, I don't want to take low either, but if it's all or none, you might feel like you have to take it. I think it'll be higher than something that you can walk away from easily. But if there's 500 million shares counterfeit and they pay $100, what is that? I can't do the arithmetic. I just can't do it. All right, so I'm going to wish everybody good night. I got to go take some colchicine. Let me see what Babcock family says. He has something intelligent to say. Shows walk-up shares we will get in 11 months. Oh, there's the 8K Friday. I heard about the 8K Friday. I didn't read it. So we get shares in 11 months. That's interesting. But it won't. Babcock family, let me read that and I'll have an answer tomorrow because I'm walk-up shares. That might be for the settlement because they didn't give a record date. Babcock family, I'll have to read. You totally got me. You totally got me confused. Oh, it was locked up by the millions. Oh, so maybe Babcock family, what that is once the financiers get their 5 million back, then those, maybe many of those shares come available to us. That could be it, Babcock family. That could be. It's something, isn't it? It's something. Look, both stocks could be worth something next year. I'm just concerned what happens by the end of the year, and we'll find out. But I know Brent's going to be fighting, and I also learned that Peter Bordis had nothing to do with the selection of that, or the recommendation of that highway robbery investment banker. All right, I'm going to just sign off. I'm in pain and I got to go take some medicine. So, peace, love, and happiness to everybody. Djokovic won. Say a prayer for Jenny L. And we'll catch up tomorrow. And I hope I can get some sleep because I've got an eye doctor appointment tomorrow. I hope I can at least get some sleep. So we'll talk later. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Babcock family. That's really interesting, and I will read it. You outsmarted me, which is okay. It's not hard to do. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.